Right here we've got the EX.N and Monster Pro from Begode. So what I'll probably do is open them both up so you can get a chance to see them in person, and then we'll just go over one at a time. So I'll start with EX.N, because it's just a little bit lighter, even though both of these are still pretty heavy wheels. Let's get started with this guy here. We got the usual user manual. I'm assuming this guy comes with the usual Begode 3-amp charger. And yes, the usual Begode 3-amp charger in the box. Set this guy aside for now. Alright, there it is. This is my first time seeing this wheel in person. This is a true first time unboxing. But it's definitely a little bit lighter than the regular EX. Get back around here. Alright. Alright, so here it is. Keys off. Just like the EX comes with those larger RS style pedals, carried over from the M Superline, just a little bit bigger. I believe, I'm not sure if there was any side pads included in the box. We could just check that real quick. The EX comes included with these thinner MSP style side pads, but there will be those official Begode power pads available for purchase. And also, I don't think it comes with the mudguard either, but that will also be available, as will the seat.
No side pads.
No side pads? Interesting. Alright, let me just turn this guy on. Looks like it's in shipping mode. So to disable shipping mode, after a restart, should be good to go. And here we go. So we've got, just like the EX, we've got that daytime running light up front. You can toggle the front lights, and I believe it does get brighter once you start turning the wheel, just like the Nikola and the EX do. In the back, we've got a voltmeter to tell your battery, and a tail light. The tail light is usually solid, but it will flash when you're braking. It's a bit hard to do on this angle. Oh, yep, we got it. Yeah, but it will flash when you're braking. The beeper is located on this side, on both the EX and EX.N, but there's actually a hole in the back, I'm assuming to allow for it to come through a bit easier. And I think this wheel does have the same really loud Bluetooth speakers as the regular EX does. The only difference here is going to be, of course, no suspension. And the other big thing that's got people excited about this wheel is the speed. So this wheel is supposed to be able to go upwards of over 100 kilometers an hour. So let's just get one of the main hype points out of the way when we connect to the wheel with EUC World here. Alright, so we are at 100% battery. Let me just set this guy down right over here. And I will give the wheel a quick lift test. Alright, let's see if I can get this here. Alright, 1, 2, 3. What do we hit?
58.5 miles per hour.
58.5 miles an hour. And this is at, let's see, 99.9 volts, so basically 100% charge. So I'd say going by the 12 mile an hour rule, which is 12 miles an hour under your lift speed, is probably the safest top speed you should be going. You should be able to go probably near 50 on this wheel if you're a lighter rider. But yeah, I ride a Sherman day to day, but I don't usually exceed 48 miles an hour just for that same reason. And yeah, I'm really excited to give this wheel a try and see the speed. So, if you guys have any questions, just type in the chat and I will be sure to answer them. I'm just going to go over a general overview right now. The trolley handle seems to be a bit stiffer than the one in the EX actually. It's the same sort of design where it comes up out of the side Let me just reset the motor here. There we go. Yeah. Feels to be a little bit stiffer than the one in the EX. Maybe I just haven't used that one a little bit. Lift handle is still underneath here, so you're going to find a button right here. Press that, and you can lift it. It is definitely lighter than the EX, I can tell. Those suspension components do add a lot of weight. And it's got the same tire. Begode says it's a 20-ish inch tire, probably around 19 inches, so the same sort of tire class as something like MSP or something like that, RS. Looks like if we open this up, we've got the same single charge port setup as the regular EX and USB port. And I believe the Bluetooth speakers on this guy get pretty loud, so I can give you guys a test of that. No RGB on this wheel, but it's going to be kind of hard to see the RGB going if you're going at 40-something miles an hour. And also, if you're not into the speed, this wheel, just like the EX, also has the same 2,700 watt-hour battery capacity, so you're going to be able to go for a really long time. I remember when the 2,400 watt-hour monster was unthinkably large battery, but here we are with this guy. That's just a quick overview of that. Now, let me get started on Monster Pro, and we can talk more in depth about each of these wheels. Put this guy behind here. And let's go over here. I don't think I'm going to be able to stay behind the counter for this one because this is a ginormous 3,600 watt-hour battery, which is, I don't even know how to describe it.
The biggest ever in EUC.
It is the biggest ever in EUC. Monster Pro is the biggest in a lot of ways. Physically, biggest battery, biggest tire. Looks like this is going to be the same 3 amp charger that comes with most other wheels. Yes, it does. So let me put that guy behind there. But they also do include a valve extender in the box, a little 90-degree valve extender. That could be useful if it's hard to get to the tire. Alright, wow. Now let's see. So it actually does come with the... Oh, hold on just a minute. So it does come with these separated, probably to avoid damaging them in shipping. These are the covers for the Bluetooth speakers, and I'll show you where those go in just a minute. So set those there for now. Now this guy is probably going to be pretty tough to lift up because it weighs upwards of 80-something pounds, I think it is.
No, she got an angle.
So let's see if I can first try this. Oh, it's not so bad. Whoa. Yep. It's all of the other thing. Alright. Wow, this thing is ginormous. Alright, so let's get it up on the table here. Whoa. Alright, so looks like it's got a dual Nikola style headlight in the front, so basically two of what you're going to get on EX and EX.N. Let me show you these real quick. So the speaker module actually just slides into the side here, and these caps actually keep it in place. So if we just want to try, actually I think, are they directional? I'm not actually sure. Looks like they're identical. So just slot this in, we just line it up. In theory, you should just be able to push it in. If I'm doing it backwards, maybe they're not the same. Yep, they are not the same. I think you should just be able to. There we go. We got that one in there. On the other side, push that in there. And there we go. So these are going to be your Bluetooth speakers on Monster Pro. So let's turn this, well, monster on. So it's in shipping mode. So the lift switch button is actually right here next to the power button. So to undo shipping mode, you hold it down. And I think that was it. Oh, actually no. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
There we go.
And here we go. Wow, it just sounds menacing. So the EX.N, I forgot to mention, actually is a little bit lesser powered motor than the EX. EX is going to be packing a 3,500 watt motor, 3.5 kilowatts, just like this guy here. EX.N has a slightly smaller motor, I believe, at 2,800 watts, but all three of them are going to be hollow motors. And wow, oh. So the Monster Pro also comes with new RGB designs. Just like the RS, it's got that sort of awesome design in the front. Wow, that looks amazing. We'll get into all the patterns later. But yeah, some quick info about that wheel. Got that massive battery. And were there any side pads in that one either? I don't think I saw any. Let's check. And if you guys have any questions about either of these wheels, just ask in the chat because, yes. So, Monster Pro actually does come with these sort of MSP style side pads. But again, there will be the official Begode power pads available for purchase, as well as the mudguard and seat for all of these wheels, which comes separately. But at least they do include something in the box, which is nice. And yeah, looks like we've got 5 bits of battery here. And we've got a large voltmeter up in the front. So unlike EX and EX.N, if you have a seat on this wheel, you will still be able to see your voltage in real time. If we open up this front port here, we should see dual charge ports, which you're going to need to charge up this massive wheel. 3,600 watt hours is basically the equivalent of 2 1,600 watt hour or 1,800 watt hour wheels, excuse me. So basically, it's as if you were charging 2 MSPs or 2 RSs at the same time. But it does only come with a 3 amp charger out of the box, and we do stock additional 3 amp chargers as well as up to 4 amp fast chargers. So you could get a maximum of 8 amp charging with 2 fast chargers, or if you just want to pick up another 3 amp charger, which is going to be a little bit less, you could get 6 amp charging, which I think is a big improvement over the stock 3 amps to charge this guy. And like usual, we do have a USB port up in the front there. And like I said earlier, the lift cutoff button is not under the handle. It is instead a little button up in front. Let's see this guy. There we go. This is nice and tight, which is good for waterproofing. So to engage the lift cutoff, you just press that button there. And that's what does it. So let's see, I'll probably test that out in just a minute here, but the trolley handle is the same style as EX and EX.N, but it's got a little bit different of a handle here. Just pull that up. It's a little bit stiffer. And yeah, I think this is a little bit stiffer than the one in the EX. So I think they have actually improved the design a little bit. It is pretty stiff, so it probably is not going to, pop out on you while you're riding. Yeah, let's go through, let's see, if I turn on the headlight, which should just be single press of the power button. Yep, got the headlight there, and I think it does. Let me use the lift cutoff switch real quick. Whoa. I think just like EX.N and EX, it does get brighter when you start going. Yeah, wow. That was pretty bright. Yeah, so I think it's actually 2 of those headlights that EX and EX.N uses, so I don't think you're going to be at a loss for headlight power here with this guy. And yeah, just for fun, let's go through the different RGB modes while we're here. So we got that rainbow cycling. We've got this guy, which looks like it's pulsing through the different colors. That's a nice change. I don't think this one changes with speed. Yep, so that one stays the same. We got this guy, which is sort of a lightning electricity effect. That's pretty awesome. Looks like it's white on the back, yellow on the front, and I think it's the same with speed. So that's pretty cool. I think this is the off mode. And this one I think is similar to the mode you get on RS, where the front is white for sort of a headlight effect and the back is red. And I believe when you brake, it actually gets brighter. It can be a bit hard to demonstrate here.
Yeah, it's a little hard to see.
If I just go through, got another one of these guys. I like how they've upped their game a little bit with the RGB on this wheel. Got something like that, same in the rear, and this is always going to be red ring around here for your brake light. And as you turn, just like with previous wheels, I think the center should act as a turn signal. Might have to be going a little bit faster. And the next one looks like flashing, a little bit slower, just like we've had on previous sort of M Super style wheels. Same for front and back. We've got sort of a stacking design, that's pretty cool. Same for front and back. This is a lot more modes than I'm used to, and then we got the rainbow mode. So I don't think any of these actually change with speed. Let me just check the taillight to make sure. Interesting. So it looks like the taillight actually stays blue as you speed up, which I don't think is characteristic of the other wheels. Usually it will start doing a little pattern here and it'll show your turn signals, so we will probably have to check with Begode about this, but I believe the final version will have sort of a turn signal functionality back here. And this wheel also does come with the larger RS style pedals, same as EX and EX.N. And just sort of sitting here this whole time is this massive, Begode says 24-inch tire. Seems to be a little bit out of alignment out of the box. That's nothing a quick little pump up can't fix. I try out the trolley handle. Yep. So just like EX, definitely usable, I'd say. One other thing with these is if you do have the seats, you'll have to remove it if you want to use the trolley handle, just because they were so pressed for space in this wheel. There's actually a battery in both sides. So there's 4 packs in total, and the control board is up a little bit higher. So that is an overview of these two wheels. If you have any specific questions in the chat, feel free to ask, but I will go over some more of the features.
Let's put the monster next to it.
Oh yeah, so we actually do have a first generation monster right here. So for all you monster guys out there who know how big this wheel is in person, here's a size comparison. So the Monster Pro is absolutely massive. But this is a 1600 watt hour monster, the V1, so you're going to get more than double the range on this guy here. We just put them side by side. You can see just sort of outline of the Monster Pro in the background, a little bit bigger. The tire size actually does seem to be, looks like the tire is a little bit thinner than on the original Monster. It is a little bit wider, so I'd say maybe close to a 23-ish, 23, 24-inch wheel. But yeah, there's the size comparison between these two guys. Alright, so now we can do sort of a bit of a comparison on these two. I'll just sort of leave that guy down there because it is very heavy. I don't feel like lifting it. So one thing I'm interested to try is the firmware on these guys, because my main gripe with the Sherman is the firmware behavior. It's a little bit, I'd say a little bit bouncy when you're going back and forth, especially in the lower modes. Hard mode still has an issue where if you're sitting, riding seated, it will oscillate back and forth every time you go over a bump. But I've never felt that on Galway wheels. They've always been rock solid, especially in hard mode, so I'm excited to see the firmware differences there. Yeah, some other...
Do you want to do the lift test on that?
Oh yes, very important. So the Monster Pro is anticipated to be the fastest wheel, biggest lift test. Voltage is a little bit less than EX.N right here, but let's go ahead and do the test. Put this guy back down here. Alright, so let me get my phone out. We can see, alright, I left it here. So let me now connect to Monster Pro. Looks like it's going to be this guy probably. Yep. The beeper is a little bit quieter on Monster Pro, so I'd probably take a little bit more caution listening to that at high speed. So it says we are at 100%. If I change my wheel voltage to 100 volts. So let's go ahead and do the test. All right, 1, 2, 3. Wow. 65 miles an hour top speed. That is ridiculous. So you should be able to go above 50 miles an hour continuously on this wheel, which I am very excited to try. I am one of those crazy speed people, so I am really excited to see what speed I can get this wheel up to. Just reset the motor. Alright, I think we started hearing the beeps at around like upper 40s, maybe 50 right there. Free spinning, so you'd probably hear the beeps around, I'd say maybe 47, 48 when you're on it, which is really exciting, because on the Sherman I start hearing beeps a lot earlier than that, even though they have comparable top speeds. I think Sherman is, my wheel at least, I know there's been some differences between batches, mine is around, I think it's 63 or 64 miles an hour is the lift speed at 100%. But yeah, that is super exciting. Alright, some other things to talk about, if I could just sort of see behind there. Let me get this guy back up here. Initially I thought these two would be a little bit more comparable in speed. Maybe there's some sort of weird firmware happenings with the EUC world. But we will have more content coming up where we compare the real life top speed that we are able to reach on these wheels and against the Sherman. So stay tuned for that. There will be a lot of content coming with these guys. Super excited to have these in the office. Alright, oh, and because I didn't mention it earlier, let me just do another lift test with this EX.N to see where the beeps start. So Monster Pro, around 50. Let me switch which one I'm connected to. Alright, now I'm connected to this guy. And let me listen out more carefully for when the beeps start. This guy, I think, comfortable lifting one-handed. I don't know how I feel about Monster Pro, but that's not really the point of this wheel. The point of Monster Pro is just going to be really long-distance cruising, just because there's such a huge battery. Even if you're not a speed guy, you're going to get a huge range from that. If you are a speed guy, you're going to be able to maintain that speed for a lot longer than on something like, say, the RS, with double the packs. I really enjoy the sort of M Super style wheels, but sometimes I feel limited by the range when I'm going that fast, because the faster you go, the more wind resistance you encounter exponentially, actually, as you increase your speed. So if you want to maintain those top speeds, this is going to be a great wheel, as will this one, just because they've got such big battery packs. So let's go ahead and take a look over there and see at what speed we start beeping. Looks like about 45-ish. Alright, so it looks like about 5-ish mile an hour difference in the top speed between these guys. And it could be down to charge level or something else, we'll see. But that is the results that we've got with these two units here. Yes, so both of these, like I said earlier, are going to have optional power pads, seats, and mudguards. So they all come equipped with slots for those. I've tried the seats on the regular EX, which is also compatible with the EX.N, just due to they share the same body style, and it's actually really comfortable. I'm used to sort of squatting really hard on something like RS or Veteran, the Sherman, but I'm excited to see how the seated experience is on this guy, and also Monster Pro. I briefly had a Monster a while ago, and I really liked the seated experience. I think if you have a Monster and you don't have a seat, you're kind of missing out, because riding seated on something like a Monster style wheel is just the best experience. You can just plop down, turn your brain off, and just cruise for miles and miles. Alright, pedal height, let's see, we probably want to compare pedal height to something like MSP. So we actually do have an MSP over there. Let's see if we want to go ahead and get that over here. We can just bring that guy up to the table. We can probably do a little side-by-side. So we can turn this guy on. Alright, so it looks like, it's hard to see from a top-down perspective, but it looks like they have pretty comparable pedal heights. What would you guys say?
They look just about the same.
Yeah, that's good news for people who like higher pedal heights. The EX.N looks to have a very similar, if not the same, pedal height to something like the MSP. So you're going to get a lot of ground clearance for stuff like off-roading, things like that. I don't think it's going to be as high as something like the regular EX, which we can actually compare in a moment here. But the EX, as you sort of stand on it, it'll sag down a little bit and actually get closer down to a normal pedal height. that's good, because I know there was some issues with early batch RS. People were noticing the pedal hangers were a little bit lower, which would decrease your off-roading capabilities. But it's good to see that the pedals are a good height on this wheel. So now, if I get the Monster Pro back onto the table, we can compare the height between those two. So we know this one is equivalent to MSP.
Do you want the EX?
Oh, actually, yes. We should probably do EX first as a pedal height comparison. Definitely not, because I don't want to lift the Monster Pro again. And we can actually get a scale later on to determine the actual weight of these wheels. Alright, so with the suspension fully extended, you can see that the pedal height on the EX is just super tall. We can just like this right here, so they're both sort of straight up. Yeah, so without the suspension being compressed on the EX, it is a super tall wheel. But despite that, I think it actually feels really stable while riding, just because of the weight. So because it weighs so much, it's going to be a lot more planted on the ground than something that weighs a little bit less. And the suspension on the EX is going to just sort of, I'd say, absorb the harder impacts. It's not really something that is going to absorb all the little bumps like, say, an S18 or V11, but it's going to be great for saving you if you're going at a high speed and you hit like maybe a pothole or a bump or something like that. It's just going to, it sort of takes the edge off those really hard impacts, which I like, because this wheel goes a lot faster than S18 and V11. I've been up to 40, 41, I think, on this wheel, but I wouldn't advise going past maybe 38-ish. So if you're looking for a suspension wheel to sort of take the edge off those really big bumps, and you still want to go a little bit faster than like 31, 32, I'd say go with this guy. But if you want to go even faster, you don't care so much about suspension, you're used to the sort of more traditional style of just sort of changing your tire pressure to determine you want the ride feel to be, this guy's going to be the way to go. Alright, so if we want to bring the Monster Pro up here, let's see. I'm going to take this guy off the table, and really briefly I'll just set this guy on its side. Something else we can test is the shutoff angle for both of these wheels. Alright, got that. I'll just hold this still real quick. So, pedal there. It looks like pedal heights are, again, pretty similar. Maybe a little bit higher on Monster Pro. What do you think?
This is leaned a little more forward. Probably just needs calibrated.
Yeah, I think they do need to be calibrated. This is straight out of the box.
But yeah, it does look a little bit taller.
Yeah, so it's going to be a little bit taller on Monster Pro, which is going to help with, I think, turning, because it's going to be probably a bigger turning circle on something like Monster Pro. Not really huge difference, but something worth noting. But yeah, I think pretty similar pedal height. So now we can test the cutoff angle. So something that a lot of sort of enthusiast off-road riders are interested in is the angle at which the wheel will cut off the motor. Let's say if you're going along a berm or something, or you're just going in like a skate park, you don't want the wheel to be cutting off on you when you go on banks like that. So let's test EX.N first. So I think this is around 45-ish. That's usually where most wheels cut off. Still going, so right around here is where EX.N cuts off. What angle do you think that is, roughly?
Looks 45.
45-ish?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it just looks a bit different from up here. So it seems like pretty standard cutoff angle for EX.N, and I believe the same is going to be true for Monster Pro. So let's get this guy. I'll probably do it this way. Alright, so still going. Alright, so we cut off right about there. Seems about the same, 45-ish.
Yeah, 45.
So pretty standard cutoff angles. So not really too much has been updated there, but that seems to be enough for me. It's really only an issue if you're doing sort of that again, off-road carving, going on berms, banks, stuff like that. We can, real quickly, compare the headlight strengths of both of these wheels, because EX.N is going to be the same as Monster Pro. It's going to be a bit harder than usual because they both do have the speed adjustability. So it's going to be bright when you're at a stop, as not to like blind people. Let's say you're sitting in a stoplight, you don't want the full headlight power to be shining on everyone, but when you start going, it's going to brighten up. I believe, let me just confirm real quick that Monster Pro does use 2 of the EX style headlights. It looks like they are very similar. So yeah, I think Monster Pro just has 2 EX headlights there. So I think it's going to be probably not double the brightness. I don't know too much about the science of light levels, but it is definitely going to be a bit brighter than something like EX.N, which you're going to need going at high speeds at night. But I found the EX headlight to be more than enough because they're both very spot beam sort of patterns, so they'll project very far, not very wide, which is good if you're going fast because you want to see what's way in front of you, not so much what's to the sides. So if we just real quickly face them at the wall, we can compare not engaged. Want to turn the headlight on there, just press the power button. Yep, so pretty similar, but yeah, you can see that Monster Pro is just 2 of the EX headlights side by side. So you're going to get a little bit more light there, a little bit wider throw. And yeah, it is going to be tough to test it, the actual brightness, but I'd say it's safe to say that they're both going to be pretty similar. You're just going to get a little bit wider beam, maybe a little bit brighter with Monster Pro. Alright, so now one of the final things we can compare between these two is the speakers. So, if I can get my phone again. I don't usually use Bluetooth speakers too often because when you're going fast it's sort of hard to hear. So I usually just use a Bluetooth headset set up inside my riding helmet. But I know some people really love the Bluetooth speakers. They love them on the Monster V3. So let's go ahead and give it a test. So, I really like the speakers on EX, the regular EX, so I'm excited to see how these will fare and also how those will fare. I think it's just the 2 in the back here on Monster Pro, but we will verify that very soon. So we can probably turn the headlight off. So let me do EX.N first. And it is worth noting, they do still have that little startup noise, but it's very quiet on both of these wheels. It's really hard to hear. When I first had a first batch Nikola, that startup noise was very loud, but that has since been fixed. It's a lot quieter now. So let me go ahead and connect, search. Ah, good idea. I was just gonna say that. So, got my music. Let's take a little bit to pair, as is usual for these wheels. If you have any questions about either of these wheels, something you want us to test while you're here, just let us know in the chat and I'll be sure to test it for you. Alright, I'm not sure which one I just connected to. Let me just give it a quick test. Alright, so it looks like I connected to Monster Pro first, so we'll test that one out first. I don't have any non-copyright sounds. Let me just open on YouTube then. Copyright. You got any questions in the chat so far?
I'm looking through. Hold on.
Alright, let's just play something random here. So this is at half volume right now. Yeah, it is just these 2 in the back. Bring it up to 75. Looks like I've got a little bit of buffering here. It's a bit louder. Take up to 100%. So it's definitely pretty loud, so you're going to be able to hear it. Quality seems okay, on par with other unicycles. None of the audio is going to be too great on these, but it is definitely going to you're going to be able to hear it while you're riding, that's for sure. But we will be reporting on that in more detail after our full review. This is just the unboxing, so just a quick overview. I'll be trying out the Bluetooth speakers on both of these and seeing how they compare to my in-helmet Bluetooth system, and we will see how they both compare sound-wise. So now let me connect to EX.N. Alright, I think I got to restart this guy. Another thing worth noting is, just like the EX, the EX.N is going to be slightly back heavy just because they've got 2 packs in the back and 1 in the front with the control board taking up this slot. But the Monster Pro is going to be really balanced front to back because there's 2 packs on each side in the same position. So you're going to be able to lean it up against a wall a little bit easier. It's going to feel more stable while riding. But with something like this, it's going to be a little bit more back heavy. So you'll see if I let go, it sort of starts to fall to the back. But that can be sort of an advantage if you want to brake a little bit faster. I actually found that helpful when I still had my Monster. So let me connect. It looks like I've got it here, so let me play that same song. So let's start off at 50% volume. I think the EX and EX.N have 4 speakers, 2 per side. 75%. Seems to be a little bit more bass on the EX.N than on Monster Pro, just because they're a little bit more inside the wheel. They've got more room to sort of work and stuff, whereas on Monster Pro they're sort of exposed right here, so not as much sort of echoing and not as big of a chamber. Let me just test maximum volume real quick. So I'd say they both get pretty loud, maybe a little bit louder on Monster Pro just because the drivers are a little bit more exposed, but I think the sound quality on EX.N is going to be a little bit better. So if you're someone who values sound quality in your EUC's Bluetooth speakers, maybe give the EX.N a little bit more consideration. All right, and I think that's pretty much all the major points we wanted to hit. Similar trolley handles, done speaker comparison, lift test comparison. The EX.N is going to be a little bit more agile than something like Monster Pro, of course, just because it's got that smaller tire size. But if you sort of adapt to the wheel that you choose, you can maneuver however much you want on any wheel. It just takes a little bit more adapting. But Monster Pro is going to be a little bit heavier, going to take a little bit more effort to get to speed. But I know if you're already a Monster person, if you like the Monster and you're looking for maybe a little bit more range, a little bit more speed, or both range at speed, this is going to be the wheel for you, because I think especially once you put a seat on here, it is going to be amazing. Riding seated on the Monster I think is one of the best experiences you can have on an EUC, just because the height is so perfect, especially on the Monster Pro. You're going to be able to go as fast as you want, basically. And yeah, you're going to be able to just go, and it's just great for cruising. Just don't even think about it, and just, yeah, go however long you want. So, any questions popped up in the chat yet?
People ask if we have them to sell, and that's no. We don't currently have it. These are demo units.
Yes, so these two are just demo units that were requested specifically ahead of time, just for that awesome content. So stay tuned, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us on social media, and we will be posting lots of content with these guys coming up real soon. But we will have the Monster Pro and EX.N available for purchase on our website. Right now they're still in the pre-order phase. EX.N will be going up shortly, but yes, we will stock these. ETA I think is at least a couple months from now, but nothing too solid, just because, you know, COVID production delays, so there's not really a set time we can give right now. But we have placed an order, so we will have some in our store. But yes, I'm excited to make some awesome content with these, so stay tuned, follow our socials. One last thing we are going to be hosting a demo event for these two wheels. I believe it's going to be next weekend. So next weekend, stay tuned. It's going to be in SoCal. If you're in the San Diego or Los Angeles area, you will be able to come down to us, or if you're farther away and want to come down and see these wheels, perfectly fine with us. We'll be happy to see you. So we are going to be having a demo event this next weekend. Mark your calendars. More details will be coming on our socials. Another reason to follow us. But yeah, just be on the lookout for the announcement from us. And I think that is going to be it for this unboxing, this live unboxing. So, thank you guys so much for joining us. I am Nick with EUCO, and I will see you guys soon. Follow our socials, and yes, I will see you later.